Hey folks, and welcome to the Phil Swallow podcast, episode number 164, recording on Tuesday the 5th of December 2023. The title, checks notes, Huge Channel Milestone Looming. As at today, just before I'm recording this, I have 972 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you all. Really appreciate that. And my huge milestone is going to be 1,000 subscribers that I really want to hit, ideally before Christmas, but by the end of the year, that's my target. And I suppose it's a request in some ways. Can you help? Can you share the channel? If you watch it and not subscribed, would you mind giving it a little subscription just to help me along? That would go a long way. I've been looking into the stats recently that YouTube publish regularly, and most people in the 7,700 views I had just in the last month came to my channel just by how YouTube presented one of my videos on the home screen, which is great. I saw some other stats recently, one around how most of my videos that are watched by people are from older than 6 months old, if that makes sense. So people, I mentioned before, I don't have a timeliness. I'm not talking about the latest thing in politics or entertainment or music. This is about stuff that's happened a long time ago, and it's how I make stories and share them with you. Now, I also looked back at a plan that I'd put together in a blog on my website. I don't do many blogs, but I did this one. And it was how I was going to try and grow the channel. And it was initially published in May 2021. And I had a target of, I can't remember how many thousand views, but it was 500 subscribers by the year end, a bit arbitrary. Excuse me. And it ended up about 300 when I reviewed it in mid-November 2021. So I put on another 670 odd in that time, 660, 670. Oh, excuse me. So, yes, if there's anything you can do to help share the channel, videos that I've got on the channel, videos that you've watched and enjoyed, and apparently, again, YouTube send like a weekly analytics update. And you play a little guessing game as to which of your videos would have done well or been most searched for. And I lost my train of thought. But anyway, so I get the stats regularly. And, oh, that's right, yes, one of the things that it said was how often the videos are shared. But I don't get any real data about that. I don't know what platform they're shared on. It just says X number of videos were shared this week. So sharing takes place, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for every single interaction that happens on this channel. I'll be quite honest. It really is very humbling. I have some great conversations online with people. People contact me separately, and we talk about different stuff. What I've mentioned before, whatever way you want to contact me, I'm happy to have a chat. I've got lots of things looming. I'm going to cover what's gone live recently in the last couple of weeks since the last podcast. And as usual, I kind of talk, it's a bit about what I've done, a bit about what I'm going to do, and a bit of real life stuff all thrown into the mix. It's very kind of here, there and everywhere. Probably other podcasts you listen to might be a bit more structured. So, and I do put a little kind of note of the bullet notes in the notes that go with the podcast, but people don't always look at those. So I sometimes do on the podcast that I follow. So what have I done? Well, one of the biggies that I did was the Croydon How It Is 2023 Revisited. I filmed that in early-ish November, shortly after the last podcast. And it was different this time because whilst it was still going through the centre of Croydon, from where the high street starts, basically, at the junction of Southend, if you know Croydon, all the way up the high street, into the Wycliffe Centre, back out West Croydon and round, and then ended up going up George Street. And I did it as a walk and talk video. I had my mate Graham with me, who was very helpful, but he likes to keep off camera, but that's fine. And I put it out there, and it had a lot of really good engagement. I didn't really promote it, I don't think. I did offer it up to one site on Facebook, but they didn't come back to me and they didn't share it, I don't think. But I'm not too bothered about that. I think the main thing is that the growth and the engagement and the watching and interaction takes place ideally from someone watching it within YouTube. The growth and the community that I'm after to subscribe and grow the channel are people who are in the YouTube world. Yes, sometimes people will pick up links from social media, Facebook and Twitter and the like, X, whatever it's called. Other social media sites are available, too many of them. But it's it's within the YouTube area and the algorithm and how that interacts with what I do and how I interact with it that is really where the growth needs to take place. That's the key thing. That's the thing that's most important to me. Excuse me. Oh dear. I was out this morning. Maybe I got some sniffles. So yes, so that was that done. That was good. I think I'd prior recorded the Woldingham video, and I edited it and put that live, and that had some nice engagement as well. Thank you. That was a walk and talk. That was my kind of country aspect walk that I'm going to do each month, and we're now very early in December. I'm not in panic mode yet, but obviously Christmas is looming. I just want to pick, ideally, a nice, bright, crisp, maybe even frosty day that I can do the filming of my next video based on where I want to go. So fingers crossed that I get the weather to do that. So yeah, Woldingham went down well, Croydon went down well. I did a then and now, well, I'd already done one on Woldingham. I think I did that. I did do that before the last video. And I did one on Red Deer to Purley. And again, didn't really push it, just put it out there. Good engagement, people like it, lots of likes, and the ratio of likes to views was very high, so I'm very pleased with that, and thank you. Only a short video, these tend to be 4 or 5 minutes. A little bit technical to put together, but I've got some more planned. I won't reveal too much, but you know, they're nice ones to nip out, film it, do the fiddly edit, and get them live quite quickly. The content is quite thin in terms of there's no real audio to them. There's a bit of music. They're actually smaller files to work with overall, so it makes the whole process a little bit quicker. Because there's no vocal or audio or voice track, there's no additional processing for that, no captions and stuff like that. So anyway, so that was that. I filmed a local lady with a great life story, 103-year-old lady. So that's going to be, well, that's in edit at the moment. Probably take a little while, so I'm not sure that I'll get that live before Christmas, but you never know. If the weather keeps being dismal, it might happen. And I've got some other bits and pieces to add into that. When I write these down, I write these bullets about this show, and I think it's going to take ages this time round. And I don't know, I kind of rattle through them. So I'm not going to slow down and be slow and boring, but I'll keep the pace going, and then it'll be a quicker podcast. Good for everyone. So I did a Recce walk recently to a place that's between Selsdon and Sanderstead, and I'd read some information about it, and I wanted to just do the walk. So Sunday morning, I had some time, dropped Sue off at work, had a bit of time to kill, did a walk, and I did some research about a property adjacent to the area that I walked in, something that had just put one of those little markers in my mind many, many moons ago. Because the place was pulled down a little, well, a good few years ago now, 10, 15 years ago. That has led me to a story that I'm building about an individual, and it has links with one of history's great stories, great in terms of quite disturbing, but very big story in history. I'm not going to say any more about that, other than I'm really looking forward to telling that story. As I've mentioned here in the past, these stories can be richer if you've got documents and things that you can present to the video as it's going through, secondary storyline, cutaways, that kind of thing. There's a nice lot of those. So I'm really, really excited to be putting that together. Will it happen before Christmas? Probably not, I think I'll be honest. But in the new year, hopefully it'll be one of the early ones. Likewise, I had one planned for some time, actually, after the end of summer, about a location not far from here, Spring Park sort of area. And this particular location has had scaffolding up for quite extensive building work since I decided I'm ready to go. So I've just parked it. Every time I go past it, I think, will the scaffolding be gone? Still there. So they're obviously doing some extensive work. So I just wanted the visual to be right. I'm probably going to use the drone on that one as well a little bit. So that'll happen in due course, when there's a better kind of overall visual. It's just a thing that I want to focus on, just not sharing scaffolding really if I can help it. Other than that, we've done a little bit of Christmas prep. We've got some things in the diary. Sue and I went Tuesday last week to see A Christmas Carol at the Old Vic in London with Christopher Eccleston playing Scrooge, and it was fantastic. It was quite similar in some ways to the show that was put on last year, but you are positioned in and amongst the set. It's almost like a kind of T-shaped stage that comes right out into where the audience are. So it goes from what you would see as the traditional stage to the back of the auditorium, so through the seats but on a high platform. And they make every use of it. It's so clever. Brilliant story. A lot of messages within the story. And if you get a chance to go along, Christopher Eccleston is fantastic. We saw it with Owen Teale last year, and he was okay. He did a job that you would expect an actor to do, a very professional job, but Christopher Eccleston, I think, is a bit better CV and energy, and everything was superb. And we had a really nice meal afterwards, so that was good fun. Another couple of things as I'm rattling through. Household goods that go. Our toaster, well, Sue said it was on the blink. I don't know. It seemed to be doing well on one side and not on the other, and had it for donkey's years. So we bought a new toaster, had some vouchers with John Lewis, and we bought a new Bosch toaster. Way, you didn't think you'd been hearing about toasters today, but yeah, it's really nice actually. And we decided to buy a bread machine, and we've got a good friend Sarah to thank for that. So thank you, Sarah. And it's Panasonic. I think they kind of are the main go-to. I mean, there are some other manufacturers that make them, but it's really, really good. Made a wholemeal loaf. Well, actually timed it. So put all the ingredients in last night, and you set the timer for when you want it to be ready in sort of hours, if that makes sense. So I had it ready for about 8:15 or something this morning, and I went out this morning to do with this film that I mentioned earlier, the historical one. Well, they're all historical, but you know what I mean. And we came out and we had a wonderful, wonderful tuna sandwich with spring onion and mayonnaise and stuff. And it was, I won't bore you with the details because you can't share it, but it was really, really nice. So Panasonic bread machine, 2530 model. We might have got, or I might have got the wrong model. I think Sue wanted another feature on it, but it looks like it's going to be a success for us to know that we can just make our own bread whenever we want to make bread. So that was really good. So another final couple of things for this show, and I'm going to try and get another one in before Christmas. So we're on the 5th now, so maybe the week before Christmas I'll do a little kind of catch up again. So yes, I've got another talk booked for 2024 in May. That was something that we've been liaising with the group and me sharing what I was going to talk about, stuff like that. So that's all within the diary, which is great. I'm going to do the similar talk to the Bourne Society on the 3rd of January. So I need to do some work for that because it's in a reasonable form, but I need to do some more. There's always more to do. And that's another nice kind of winter thing that I can work on. In fact, tonight, I don't know if you've heard the saving sessions that they've got, which is where you agree with your energy supplier to switch off the power for an hour at peak time. They sometimes do them for an hour and a half, and the timings have not worked. They've done 3 or 4 of these already, and they've clashed with when we're kind of getting ready to go out somewhere, even if I'm just dropping Sue off at work. So we kind of need the lights on, and we need some activity to be going on. So we haven't signed up to those, but tonight's one, I'll be dropping Sue off shortly after recording this. And then I'm going to come back to keep the house powered down and dark. But I'll have my laptop on, so I'll be able to do a little bit of work there. And then they give you a kind of credit system for how much you save relative to your normal usage. So obviously I won't be plugging the car in and things like that to charge up. So yes, it's Octopus Energy saving session later to look forward to. Well, it's quite nice downtime. I don't know, it's more... I'll probably put a couple of candles on or something, or head torch or any combination. So yeah, looking forward to that later. An hour of nothing. It does mean I can't process the podcast, so that'll have to be done afterwards. But no biggie. I've got these things kind of locked down very much nowadays. What else have I got? Tomorrow, I think the weather's going to be okay tomorrow. It's a very kind of grey, drizzly. They once called it mizzle, one of the weather forecasters, mist and drizzle. But there's going to be a steam train coming through East Croydon tomorrow morning. I'm going to meet my mate down there just to watch it. I'm not planning to do any great video thing for it, but it'll just be a bit different, and we need to have a catch-up because we've got some other kind of video prep prepared. Is my friend Graham from the Croydon video. So yes, we do have weather inconsistency. I was out when I was filming the Red Deer to Purley video last Friday. We had some snow, flurries of sleet. Really, it wasn't a lot, but it was really quite bitterly cold. And excuse me. And that's, I think, we're going to see this kind of weird pattern now, where it's either going to be kind of grey and miserable, or it's going to be pretty cold and potentially snowy. So we'll deal with it. You know, we've said before, we're in Ireland, we get this kind of weather, and it's how you deal with it. So I suppose I'm going to end with a recap and a thanks once again for supporting the channel. I know the views of this particular podcast are smaller by comparison with many of the videos. I think some people like to consume this kind of, you know, talking head type update, and others people, it doesn't bother them, and that's perfectly fine. But in terms of the actual videos, I want to say once again a wholehearted thank you for the support for the channel. I'm on my way to 1,000 subscribers, and really hope I can get there by the end of the year. Before Christmas is a bonus, because then I can toast it over Christmas as a success. But if there's a way you can share what I do, Phil Swallow YouTube, people can look it up from there, or you can just share the link that's on my channel page. It's easily findable, I like to think. Even if you just went on my website, philswallow.com, you can find it from there. So it's fairly easy to share. I will put a link in the show notes. I probably should do a permanent link. Yeah, I should. A permanent link to the YouTube channel in the podcast notes. So I'm going to put that right at the top of my bullet list, and the rest of it's kind of what I've just talked about now. So I'm going to say thank you very much. And this was episode 164 of the Phil Swallow podcast. Huge channel milestone looming. Look after yourselves, and I'll speak to you, and you'll hear from me in the next one.